everybody. Welcome to the world's greatest Bronze Age comic book podcast, Flea Market Fantasy. I'm your co-host, Mike Allen. As always, I'm joined by
Michael Dell of the LCS Hockey Radio Show.
Woo! We got a very special guest making appearance number 14, Kevin Jank.
Yeah, Kevin Jank of the LCS Hockey Radio Show. The new Larry. Yeah. Yeah. So,
wants to comb through all the fan mail from January, and finally I've read them all and I can come back.
Yeah, welcome back. Yeah, it's hard to believe, because what is this, May? So you haven't been on since the end of January? Yeah, man.
Month break there. I was on hiatus.
The weeks just fly by. Good Lord. So old. Mike, you're an old son of a bitch too, so it goes by quick for you too, right?
Very. Time moves faster when you get older, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But Jank, welcome back. And thankfully, I'm guessing you got to pick this book this week, right? You picked something really good for us. Since you're the guest, you were probably allowed to choose. So what isn't that what happened, Jank?
Not quite.
That's not exactly what happened.
Oh, okay.
Didn't happen anything like that whatsoever.
Mike, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
This has been a plot in Mike L's head since months ago. He's been planning and plotting your demise this entire time. He was like, I'm going to pick the DC version of Masters of the Universe just to make Mike Dell suffer. And I was like, better wait a little bit. Like, you can't do it right away, or that's just going to drive him up the wall.
Because I recall back in January, you picked Masters of the Universe, the Marvel version from Star Comics, correct?
Sure did.
Yes.
And then Mike, he always likes to have a little theme going, so he probably wanted to come right back with it.
Right, exactly. You're on to me.
But then, Jank, thankfully, you said, no, you can't do that. People will be irate. So Micah says, well, I'll wait 3 months and then I'll do it. And here it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
He was counting on you having like some kind of memory fog set in over those couple of months.
So Mike, you decided to select Masters of the Universe issue 3 from 1983 by DC Comics. Now, Mike, Masters of the Universe, it's a toy line. It's not really a comic book. And this is the second time we're doing it. It's kind of like, why? Why?
Well, I'll tell you why. It's because, in my opinion, the DC version is much better. And so I just thought, if people are going to listen to us talk about Masters of the Universe, they got to listen to us talk about the good one,
But again, it's not it's a 3-issue miniseries, and that's it.
So that's true. And how many issues did Marvel have? I don't remember.
It was in the 20s, I think.
The 20s. So we've reviewed like one.
I know.
Every He-Man comic.
But it's not like this is some pillar of DC Comics history that we have to discuss.
I just wanted to. I was a big fan as a kid. I read these as a kid, so now we're going to talk about them.
But we really we did all the background on Masters of the Universe, the toy line, and the comic books the last time we did it. So this time, I'm not talking about any of that shit again. I didn't do any of that.
Well, let me ask you this, because I don't remember. Did we talk about the mini comics that came with the toys?
Yes, we did.
We did. Uh-oh.
Yeah, the whole shit.
They're a fresh set of ideas. I got nothing.
Which is the problem when you select 2 Masters of the Universe books 3 months apart. Yeah, it's like, we already did this, but all right. So let's just say this, Miguel. When you told me about this pick, I was irate. I was not happy about it. I was like, this is a complete waste of a week. What are we doing here? We're old men. We don't have time to waste. We should always do something good. But I'll say I didn't mind this book when I read it. I was like, this is all right. This is fine.
Yeah, see?
But Jank hated it.
What? Come on.
I was not a fan.
Wow. What is the world coming
critique for later, but yeah. Okay. I think I'd rather read the Star Comics than this.
Wow.
All right. Well,
hey, you think you know somebody,
Yeah, I know. Anyway. This is Jank's 14th and final appearance on Flea Market Fantasy. But
all right.
The creators here, the writer is Paul Kupperberg, and I did do some research on him. Now, we've talked about the Kupperberg brothers a lot on here, but when I was looking at the Kupperberg here, this Paul Kupperberg fella, a lot of this stuff, I was looking at his background, I'm like, I don't remember this, so I don't know if we've ever actually researched him, so we'll talk about him later. Maybe we did Alan Kupperberg before on here.
I'm looking at my notes here. He also wrote Peacemaker.
Paul did?
Yes, Paul Kupperberg wrote Peacemaker.
Wow, I don't remember reading any of this for him. And maybe I
Really?
researched Alan Kupperberg for Paul Kupperberg.
By accident?
I don't know. Who knows? But we'll talk about him later. And then also the artist here is George Tuska. Tuska. And now this is the first time we've done George Tuska, right?
Let me check my notes here, my database. Yes, it is the first time.
See, look at that. See, I always give before the show, I give Michael a lot of grief about his equipment here, his microphones and his batteries and all that stuff. He's a disaster when it comes to that stuff. But with his Excel spreadsheets for the creators, he's a gem. This Michael guy.
That's right.
He comes through for you.
Yeah.
You need it. So we'll discuss
2 seconds.
We'll discuss George Tuska later and Paul Kupperberg. But all right, Michael, so it's Masters of the Universe issue 3. Why don't we just, I guess, look at the cover? Let's just start
Dive right in. All right. Feel free to pipe in anytime you want, Jank.
Oh, I will.
Okay. So we got here, this is not a limited series. This is a mini series because it's DC, right?
Yeah.
Mini series 3 of 3. I picked the same issue number that Jank picked for the Star Comics version of this.
Oh, really?
And number 3. Number 3, yeah.
Like
above the title, we see.
Wait a minute. That issue we did of Stars was number 3 because wasn't that the one with the toy set, the claw grabbing them around the junk,
around
the slime?
Yep.
Yep.
That was issue 3.
Uh-huh.
That seems weird that would be so early in the run, like they're already launching like trying to sell toys out of you know what I mean?
I mean, it was created to sell toys, so why
I suppose.
An issue goes by where they're not selling toys.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah. All right. I just figured that would, like in my mind, I was like, oh, that's probably in the late teens. Because you think early on in that run, it would be like Skeletor, because it wasn't even Skeletor in that issue, it was that other guy, you know?
Yeah, because I think it was like the later 80s when Hordak had more kind of moved in.
Yeah, Hordak. That's right.
Yeah.
All right, Michael, sorry to interrupt. So this is issue 3.
Yeah, no problem. Number 3 of 3. And then above the logo here, we have Within These Walls, Armageddon is like the title of the story, I guess. And then we have the logo, Masters of the Universe, the classic logo, right? This is 60 cents. And anyway, below the title there, we have the Castle Grayskull. And in front of Castle Grayskull, we have a classic image of He-Man fighting Skeletor, and each are holding their half of the sword, or the power sword, or the sword of power, or whatever it's called. I don't remember.
Yeah,
they're.
Jake will know this, I'm sure. Power sword, is that what it was?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
I'll buy that for $1.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, and we also must point out that He-Man's half is like silver and Skeletor's is blue, just like in the toys, right?
Yeah, and I think that was a gimmick that they created for this comic book, right? Like this series, they came up with that, correct?
Yeah, I don't remember who came up with what, but I know that Paul Kupperberg probably came up with some of it for sure. Yeah.
Well, I think from what memory, in fact, all you kids out here at the orphanage listening to this, go back and listen to that previous Masters of the Universe episode, because I'm pretty sure we mentioned it then, but I think that the whole gimmick of the 2 swords came from this. Like they didn't have that idea yet for the toys, I don't think. I don't know, but maybe I just made that up. I don't care. I really don't fucking care.
Oh,
but all right, here we go.
You will by the end of this episode. Anyway.
So remember the swords were like all weird and flat on one side, like in the toys.
Oh,
so I wonder.
Yeah, they fit together. Yeah.
Yeah. So when did those toys come out though? This was 83. Did they did this comic book come out before the toys, or like right when the toys came out?
The toys were definitely first, but it's possible that they integrated some of the ideas from the comic into the toys for sure.
Yeah, I don't know about the timeline here. But again, if I would have done research, I could have figured this out. But I did research already, and I forgot it. All right, so now let's look at this cover, though. I like George Tuska because he's an old school artist. We'll get into later, but I like his line work here and everything, and the figures and whatnot. But there's a lot of dead space on this cover. You know, a lot of dead space. Just yellow, flash. And also, can we get a better pose for Skeletor there? Like his shoulders up, covering his face. I guess that's Skeletor. We can barely see him. You know.
Skeletor. Yeah, he's your money guy. You know, that's sell books, but no, that shit.
Yeah, he should be opened up to the camera and like maybe just put one hand on the sword, you know, and like make the figures bigger and more like dramatic, and because a lot of people have considered George Tuska like a watered down Kirby, and like he gets the dynamics pretty good, but they're just not quite there. And I think you see an example of that here, because a lot of good stuff here, but it's not quite as good as it could be if he would have done some shit.
I definitely, it looks rushed to me. It looks like kind of slapdash.
That's the other thing about Tuska, is he was known as being very quick, and he would always do a lot of fill-in issues. And also, at the time he's doing this, he's in his 60s. So.
Oh, geez, I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah. There you go.
I don't think he really gave a damn. You know what I'm saying? He's like, hey, let's just get this out.
I'm drawing some fucking toy comic book.
Yeah.
I'm going to go smoke a cigar and bang a hooker.
That's exactly what I'd be doing. Sorry. But I mean, it's an okay cover. It could have been better, but it's fine. It's all right.
It's not bad.
Actually, have a book.
Yeah, if I was a little kid and I saw this, I'd be like, yeah, I'll buy that. Yeah. So let's see. All right. So now, Mike, we get into the book here in the big splash page. He-Man, Battlecat, Man-at-Arms, Tila, Stratos. They are among the mightiest heroes of a world where science and magic meld to form heroes and villains unimagined by us. They are masters of the universe. Dun, dun, dun.
Very cool. Now, for the uninitiated, I should point out something here. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Jack Kirby's New Gods.
Well, I wish I weren't familiar with it, but you've talked about them numerous times on the show, so yeah, I'm aware.
We still haven't reviewed an issue, but this character, Zodak, is very similar to the character Metron in New Gods. And as I'm looking at this, as I'm looking at this art and I'm reading this, it's like, oh yeah, this is Metron. Basically the same character. And so we get this really cool shot of Metron on this chair flying through space.
Oh, no.
And he's
Zodak. It's Zodak.
Sorry, Zodak. Whoops-a-daisy, Zodak. And isn't that cool? That's an old Kirby trick, too. You take like an established name from like myth or religion, and you just drop a letter. So like Kirby would do like, instead of Caliban, he'd do Calibac or whatever. And look at this. We got, instead of Zodiac, we get Zodak. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's great.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Also, look at that helmet design, eh?
Yeah,
Jack, you like that helmet?
Yeah, I suppose. But for kids who don't remember Zodak, because Zodak wasn't a big popular guy. Jank, tell us who Zodak was. Do you remember Zodak at all?
No, I remember the action figure. I never had him, and I was always confused as to who the fuck he was, because I don't remember him being on the show. So what is this? Is this like a knockoff He-Man toy or what?
No, he was a legit He-Man toy. But Mike, can you fill in the blanks on Zodak? Do you remember anything about him?
Well, I mean, only that he was originally supposed to be kind of not good and not evil. It was kind of in between. That was the idea. But I think in the show, he was just flat out good, from what I remember.
Yeah, I can't remember.
But yeah, he was in the cartoon and everything. But would you like me to describe his helmet for the kids?
Yeah, because I'm sure they'll remember. Because I'm sure most people don't remember who Zodak is, but maybe if you describe what he looks like, they'll remember.
So his physique is exactly like everyone else's, like super muscular, bare legs, bare arms. But he has white, it's weird because he has white boots, but I didn't realize till now, he doesn't have regular feet. He has clawed feet. Did you notice that?
I did not notice that.
Yeah, I'm looking at the toy at least. Maybe not in the comic, but in the toy, he has clawed feet. So anyway, he has a white underwear, a He-Man, exact same belt as He-Man. Then he has...
Wait a minute. Let's go back. You're looking at the toy right now?
Yeah, of course.
Like in your hand?
No, on Google.
Oh,
yeah, on Google.
I wanted to clarify.
No.
So wait a minute, what the fuck? Michael really loves Masters of the Universe. He's like,
no, but don't get me wrong. I do have, hey, you're looking at a guy who still has Cobra Con. Come on.
all right.
And there's still water in Cobra Con from when I was a kid. But anyway. Zodak. So he's got a red chest plate, a red laser gun, and then he has one of the coolest helmets in all of fiction. It's basically...
I don't know about that, Michael. You're getting a little ridiculous.
It's like two separate pieces, kind of. Like, it's hard to describe, but it's red, but it has like gray, what would you call that? Like, I don't know, like a gray kind of rim or a white rim. and it kind of separates it into two halves, right?
Sure.
Yeah, it's
What do you
kind
say,
of
Kevin?
needlessly elaborate, I would say. This is the best way to
Oh, that's just the way I like it. And
It's like,
it has like little.
And it only goes down to like the covers the bridge of his nose, and so the bottom of his face is exposed, but it covers, and he's got black eyes in the mask, kind of. But it almost looks like you take a cereal bowl and just jam it on his head. That's what he is.
Kind
Boom,
of.
right on his head.
But I like how, yeah, and he's also got like his eyes are just big black circles, so it makes him kind of mysterious. I like that, you know?
Suppose.
And yeah, so that's it. So there's Zodak, and he's riding this golden chair, just chair through space. And he's kind of like thinking to himself, you know, the Eternian heroes pursue their goal, the pursuit of the awesome power sword for the malevolent Skeletor. Yet they are ignorant of the true meaning of their mission. And we'll find out what the true meaning is later. But basically, yeah, because I've read, you know, the previous two issues, and He-Man, Teela, and Man-at-Arms and Stratos are on a mission to get the two halves of the sword, but they're doing it for Skeletor, because Skeletor captured, did he capture Teela or the sorceress?
No, the sorceress.
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
This, which was weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so
For those who don't remember the sorcerer, she was like the foxy lady who had kind of like a king cobra snake thing behind her head in a little bit, sort of.
well, see, this is where it gets confusing.
Yeah, this is weird. Because I remember the Teela toy having that snake head dress thing,
Yeah.
and then the sorceress was like a bird head.
Oh, that's right. But in this, she has like the snake thing. But yeah, because I was confused at first as well. Yeah. All right, that makes
So
sense.
as far as my limit, like I actually paid $50 for the Bible-sized collection of all the mini comics, and I've read them all. But from what I know, I think originally the sorceress had the snake armor, but she had green skin. And then the second time she appeared, she was called the goddess, and then Teela had the snake skin. And then in the cartoon, Teela had a completely different outfit, and Sorceress had a completely different outfit. So nobody had the snake skin. And then they eventually explained the difference between the Sorceress and the Goddess. And then later, they said that Teela was a clone of the Sorceress. And that's why she looked exactly the same. So, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, what about her father, Man-at-Arms? See, like, wait a minute. How did this happen?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe I guess he was her stepfather or guardian or something, right?
Okay, that could be.
That explains everything.
Also, we should mention, you mentioned Stratos is here as well. That's the guy with the like bird wings and stuff on his
My
arms.
favorite character. Yep. Great color scheme. Gray and red and blue. So cool.
Yeah, they made two versions of them. If they like blue wings or red wings, go ahead, take whichever one you want.
Did they?
Yeah, there's a couple. Did they have different names, Frank? Or?
It was a different guy, I think, but basically it was the same thing. They were like the same race of bird creatures.
All right, fair enough.
Wow.
So yeah, they Skeletor kidnapped that sorceress later, or whatever, goddess, whatever the fuck her name is, and he's getting He-Man to go find the two parts of the sword for him.
No, they have to go track down some amulets, like 3 magical amulets or something.
Oh, yes. First, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, they have to get the amulets.
They have the amulets when this book starts, I think, because he shows them to Zodak, and then Zodak rips them away from him. But I think their main goal, they still want to go get the swords, but they don't know how to, like, what these amulets are supposed to do or how they're supposed to help them get the swords.
Yeah.
But then Zodak rips these amulets out. He says, hey, you Mr. He-Man guy, I'll show you how this works. And I don't know. Isn't that what happens?
Yeah. So basically, so when we start off, we got a double splash page of He-Man, Stratos, Man-at-Arms, and Teela fighting and shooting all these monsters. Oh, Battle Cat's also there. We should mention that.
Yeah, Battle Cat talks. Like, is that a thing?
Yeah, Battle Cat talks in this cartoon. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, like when he was Cringer, he had like a funny voice, right? Didn't it change, Jank, when he became Battle Cat?
Yeah. You know, I honestly don't remember him talking much as Battle Cat. It was more, I thought, as Cringer, but I'm sure he did.
I think you're right. yeah, I think he more roared when he was Battle Cat, but anyway.
Yeah.
But, so they're
bloodlust.
Right. So anyway, so they're fighting these monsters or whatever, and then Zodak swoops in and starts shooting them and like destroying them. And then, you know, Teela's like, I'm not impressed. But basically, he comes in, and He-Man, as we said earlier, is holding these 3 amulets, and he's like, and then Zodak is like, he's like, your concern is understandable, Teela, but would you still demand my aid if you knew it could jeopardize the goddess or more? And then He-Man says, what danger could be worse than Skeletor's Space Rider, especially now that we hold these 3 magical talisman that will lead us to the twin halves of the sword, hidden from him by the goddess. And then Zodak basically says, I don't know. I'll just have to read the whole thing. Think, He-Man, who sent these creatures from hell to bar your way? So basically, he's saying there's someone else, right?
Yes.
He's saying it doesn't make sense for Skeletor to send someone to stop you because Skeletor sent you on the mission. And it's funny because I read this comic, but I completely forgot about this character. So there's someone else behind the scene. And then as they're talking, we flash over to this kind of like, I don't know, goblin-looking guy. And he's watching the action through like, what is that called? Like a cauldron?
Sure.
What's that?
Yeah, an iPad. Yeah, cauldron. Something.
Yeah, whatever. So yeah, he's kind of like watching it through this thing. And then he's like, beg all you will, He-Man, the Space Rider will tell you not. Well, I know all, So, he's like he's behind the scenes, like actually, he's got like a secret plan. He's running things here. Oh, I guess his name's Damon.
His name is Damon.
Here's where it started to go off the rails for me, where it's like, one thing like He-Man was good at was coming up with cool villains. Like you got Skeletor and Beastman, Merman, and Trapjaw, and all these cool looking motherfuckers. This is the guy behind it all. A guy named Damon who looks like fucking Tig from Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, I don't get that reference because I don't watch Sons of Anarchy, but I'll take your word for it that that's who it looks like. But yeah, he just looks like a normal dude with a big nose and a weird beard.
Yeah.
And
just kind of a greasy, greasy looking guy.
Yeah, I admit I was disappointed by this villain. I'll definitely agree with you there.
Like this guy was never in the cartoon or anything, right? Like they didn't make a Damon figure that I just never had, right? I mean, they never make a Damon. All right, yeah. So it's just a normal dude. Also, Michael, look at Zodak when he yanks those amulets away from He-Man and whatnot. Like, are his gloves supposed to be flesh colored, or do they just like?
That is probably a mistake.
Yeah, I would imagine.
I think let me go back to. Actually, no. Yeah. Hold the phone.
Look at your toy.
Show, yeah, flesh colored.
I'm looking at the toy and they're flesh color. That's so weird. Why would they do that?
That is a poor design choice by whoever did that.
Yeah.
Well, it's like he's not wearing gloves. It's more like he just has pointy wrists. Like they jut out weird.
That's very strange.
At least on the toy. Yeah, it's very weird.
Now, here's the thing. We are going to talk about the art later, but that opening shot of Damon when he's sitting, that is a great image. Like, that panel is really good. Like, the detail in this is excellent. Anyway.
I don't know. I don't like that panel too much. But I like Tuska. But I don't like, I think his work on Damon is not the best.
Well, I just like the texture of, like, the stone and the wood and the bird. Like, it's just great.
Oh, all right. I can see.
Yeah.
I see.
The big of his Skeletor either. It kind of looked like Beta Ray Bill, like very long and horse-like.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah, his Skeletor is not great. I agree with you there. It's off-model, they say, right?
Mm-hmm. Kind of like this Teela though, looking pretty good.
Oh
Teela.
yeah,
this Teela's good. So yeah, we cut over to Skeletor, and he's dreaming about Teela. And then, Skeletor's waiting for He-Man to complete the mission. He's like, I grow impatient. These fools should have completed their mission for me by now, save for the interference of some black evil force. And then Damon can hear what Skeletor's saying, so he's like, wonder on, demonic slayer of worlds. And then we find out that Damon has the 2 swords in a stasis field, but he cannot touch them.
Yeah, he doesn't have them. Like, they were put there. I guess the old gimmick was whoever gets control of the swords can have access to Castle Grayskull. And that unlocks all the power of whatever, I have the power and all that bullshit. But, who controlled the 2 halves of the sword? The goddess? Is she the one who controlled the swords, or the...
Yes. She put them in the stasis field, I believe.
Yeah, she put them in that little field there, but they're actually inside Castle Grayskull. So that's kind of like the old Catch-22. Like, how do I get the swords to get into Castle Grayskull if they're already in Castle Grayskull? you know? So,
Right.
little trick there. How do they do that? Well, it turns out that one way they do it is because Zodak, he takes those amulet deals and he says, "Here, look, I got a pet bird," and he throws the amulets up to some pet bird. The bird grabs the amulets, and it somehow opens a portal where He-Man and them go through, and here, boom, they're into the basement of Castle Grayskull.
You mean Zor the Mystic Falcon?
Yes, Zor the Mystic Falcon. Now, I remember when I was a kid, there was like an orange bird on a stick, and you could like push a button, and the bird would flap his wings. Was that Zor, or who was that? Who was that bird?
I don't think so. Oh, I think I remember that, but I don't know. Let me check Google here. Masters of the Universe.
Oh, yeah. It is. It is Zor.
Oh,
he's got like wings and like a red kind of like vest or something.
Yeah, because then Skeletor, didn't Skeletor have a purple bird on a stick that you could push a button and make his wings flap?
That's right.
Yeah.
I think in the toys, Zor connected to the sorceress?
I have no idea. I just remember I had a bird.
In some versions of the toy, they're together. Or actually, no, I see Teela with Zor. Yeah, you know what? I think she was with Teela. Or at least some versions were. Like, maybe you could only buy her with Teela or something like that, yeah.
But I'll give these Masters of the Universe kids some credit.
Figures.
Those ad wizards at Mattel or whatever, they'd come up with one idea, and then they just change the colors of it. Oh, now we have two ideas. Look at that. We have two.
That is true. You remember how Stinkor was just Merman with black and white paint.
Yes. Fakor. It's just He-Man painted blue. Oh, it's Fakor. Oh, all right, sure. Whatever.
Apparently Screech was the name of the evil bird.
Yes, I remember Screech. Yeah. So anyway, but that's how they get into Castle Grayskull, because Zodak and his pet bird there and the amulets. And but then Skeletor starts fighting Damon, Michael.
Yes. Well, let's see here. Oh yeah, so Skeletor, he's drinking from a, what is it called? A
chalice?
What is that called? A goblet? Yeah, chalice, whatever. Yeah. So he throws that, and then all of a sudden there's this like octopus creature thing that attacks Skeletor. And then we see that Damon is actually doing this, right? Like manipulating this creature. And he's like, and Skeletor is like, before your laughter carries you away, remember who I am. Remember, I am the power. I am Skeletor. So then we see him now confronting Damon. But now Damon looks different. Damon doesn't look the same as he did like 4 pages earlier.
Yeah, Damon's like face. He looks very skinny in the face, but then when you see his body, he's super jacked, like every other.
Right.
Got the glow up.
Yeah. So they start fighting, and they just run headfirst into each other, and there's a big explosion of energy. Boom.
Right. And then we cut back over to a vision of Teela.
That again, not Teela. That's the goddess.
Yeah, that's the goddess. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's got the snake.
Yeah, Teela from the toy line, goddess in the comic book.
Right. Yep. Right. And then this part was confusing.
Yeah, we see an outside shot of Castle Grayskull, Michael, and there's a stranger there looking up, and then we see who it is, and it reveals who's this guy looking at the castle, Michael.
Man-E faces.
Man-E
now,
faces.
This is the one thing I gotta say I didn't quite get about He-Man toys, is like, okay, so his name is Man-E Faces. Does he know he has two faces yet? Or is that a development in the story? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
kind of like the thing about you guys always talk about how people have, power sets, like electronically provided powers, and then they somehow magically get the same actual powers later on.
Right.
It's like, well, if your name is Man Faces, what did you expect was going to happen?
I think the gimmick was, if I remember correctly from the toy, he was an actor. That was his trait. He was a thespian on the stage. And he played, so he was kind of like a Lon Chaney, Man of 1,000 Faces. That was like Man-E Faces. He could change. But then here in this book, we find out like Skeletor or whatever, like bonks him on the head and gives him he turns him evil. So his face turns evil. Like the toy, he could turn. Weren't there 3 faces that he had as a toy?
I think it was 3.
So it was like his normal face, the monster face, and then one where, I don't know, he's slightly angry or a little myth.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. It's like, yeah, the green face, and it was like a robot face, I think, right?
I can't remember.
Kind of weird. Huh.
So anyway, that's Manny Faces. But he shows up outside Castle Grayskull, and he's like, hey, what's going on here? Why am I here? And then Castle Grayskull just yanks him inside its mouth. Just yanks him right in there.
Yeah.
Really doesn't have much of a role to play here, so it's kind of like, I don't know what the point of that was.
Oh, well, he comes back. He comes back around. They explain it later at the end.
Yeah,
he comes back, but it's just a weird introduction.
Yeah.
Well, do you think he was in the first 2 issues at some point as well?
You know, I read them and I don't remember.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't read them, so. Yeah. I'm going to guess he's probably in issue 2 or something as well.
Maybe. So yeah, we cut back, and Damon and Skeletor are still fighting, and it looks like Damon's kind of winning, or no, but then he's not. Then Skeletor's winning.
Well, because Damon tells him when they ran into each other, like bonked heads, like the Rams running into each other. Damon says, "I needed you here, Skeletor, because I know with our 2 combined energies, we could open up a portal that would teleport us inside Castle Grayskull."
Right.
So that's how. So he says, "Look at that, Skeletor. I tricked you because I got you to get me into Castle Grayskull, and now I'll murder you." And he hits him with the little energy bolt. He's like, "Hey, I won." But then Skeletor's like, "Not so fast there, Damon. I actually tricked you. I pulled the old switcheroo on you because I had the same plan, except I'm way tougher than you." And then he kills Damon. And he's like, "Hey, I had to I had this plan all along to trick you into using our energies to get us into Castle Grayskull." And then he just murders Damon, shoots him with an energy bolt, and that's it. That's it for Damon, right? We don't see him anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Fuck you, Damon.
It did seem like this was a little unnecessary. Like, if this is all it took, why didn't he just go? If he was way stronger than Damon anyway, just go into Damon's house and be like, "Hey, guess what? I'm using your powers. Yoink."
Good point, Jack.
All this thing of sending He-Man and his friends on this adventure that amounted to nothing.
Good point. Mm-hmm. Very good point. Yeah. I think the reason is because they needed to fill up 3 issues. So
that is probably part of it, yes.
That's true.
So then we cut back over to our heroes, and they're inside Castle Grayskull, and then they split up. Did they say why they split up?
So they could all get murdered one by one by the lunatic in the house. Yeah.
So basically, yeah. So we follow Stratos first, and he's flying along, and he gets caught in this big spider's web, right? Then we cut over to Teela, and she's walking along, and she finds herself in this weird kind of like wobbly maze kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And then Man at Arms, he goes through, I guess, the 3rd door, and he sees a bunch of weapons on the wall. And he's admiring these weapons. So I guess this is his weakness. I cannot even guess what some of these are capable of, much less their origin. I've tripped some manner of censor. Ah! And then he gets zapped.
Yeah, I was kind of confused as to what actually was shooting him here. Was it the weapons on the wall or some other thing? I don't know.
Well, yeah, I guess if you look down at the bottom, I didn't even notice this. On the middle panel, there's he breaks a laser beam with his leg there.
Right.
So that's the sensor. And then I guess it's just a landmine situation. It just kind of blows up. I don't know.
Well, shit, he's dead.
And then
Good thing they cut the issue before he had to go find his body.
So then we cut over to He-Man and Battle Cat, who are walking along, and they come upon, is it just a door?
Yeah, it's a door, and Battle Cat leans up on it and starts padding it up with his 2 front legs. And my cat, Sydney G. Meows, used to do that same exact thing every time he saw a closed door. I think most cats do it. So that's a good little point there. I love cats, Michael. I don't know if you know this about
me. So do I.
Yeah, I love cats. Did you ever see him pad up a door like that?
Maybe, I don't remember.
Yeah, my cat did it all the time. It was awesome. So,
and
I just wanted to mention that. Yeah.
I hate wood.
Yeah, well, yeah, why not? Now, this is maybe the dumbest plot point in the book, where Teela realizes after all this time, wait a minute. She's like, how much longer, because she's in this maze, how much longer am I going to run myself dizzy until I stop and think, there's no way out of this maze other than any I care make, She pulls out a laser gun and shoots a hole in the ground. Instant exit. So now that's it. She's out. But then when she lands,
Well, yeah, she doesn't. She's not just out. She jumps through the hole and lands right next to Skeletor.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and now she's right next to Skeletor. And then, again, a really cool shot. She pulls a laser gun on Skeletor and shoots him. It's a great shot of her hand there. Really cool.
Yeah.
And then, and then all of a sudden, but then Skeletor's like, haha, are all the natives of this spinning clump of doomed dirt as stupid as Damon and yourself? Your primitive weapons are powerless against me, woman. Now that the power sword is mine. And then she's like, uh-oh. And then we cut to the next page and we see Skeletor wielding the power sword. And then it's a great shot. And then down below him at his feet is Tila. And then behind him, smashing through the wall, is He-Man.
Yeah, see, I don't think maybe the idea is a good shot here, but I think the actual execution of this shot is pretty shoddy.
Yeah, it's the inking. The inking is actually really good. I think maybe the inking saves it. You know,
because look at that He-Man busting through the wall. Not his best work.
No. Kind of looks like a generic barbarian.
Yeah,
with a back problem.
And Skeletor's face, like Jank mentioned earlier, not the best. But anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Skeletor has the power sword now. So he's basically like Thanos with the gauntlet, right? Like he's that powerful.
Yeah.
So he can do anything he wants. He can murder all these punks by himself within like a blink of an eye. But he says, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to call in Beast Man and Manny Faces. And you guys are going to fight him for me because I'm an all-powerful guy who can destroy universes, but I don't want to right now. So you guys, you fight He-Man. And he turns Manny Faces into a monster by bumping him on the head with the sword.
Yeah, I got to point this out. So then Manny Faces is like, please, I don't know what's going on here. Why was I brought here? And Skeletor says, you will understand all shortly, human. Once my magic has awakened your true nature, that of a rampaging, raging beast. Go now, slay He-Man. And we see his monster face there.
Yeah.
So then,
and I think Manny Faces, the reason why you were brought here is they have to sell another toy. And when people see you in the comic book, they're like, oh, I got to go buy that guy. So, yeah.
Yep. Did it work? Maybe, maybe not.
I like that He-Man just hits Beastman in the face with an axe. He's like, here, take this back.
Yep. But then,
done.
Okay. Not the sharp.
But he doesn't even hit him with the sharp end. Yeah, he hits him with like the side of it. But anyway,
smacks him with an axe.
and then Manny Faces comes in and kind of like tries to give him a bear hug. And then what happens here? He-Man activates.
It's like He-Man's vest rips a fart and the gas cloud knocks like Manny Faces away. It was very strict.
Jank, was that a thing in the toys or the cartoon where He-Man's vest could do shit? I don't remember that at all.
Remember that at all? No, I remember it all coming from the sword. Like the sword was the source of his power, not his vest.
I think this is the equivalent of when like Superman threw his S shield in Superman 2. You know, they just made it up on the spot.
Yeah.
So then, He-Man's like, now it's your turn. Now he's gonna fight Skeletor, but then Skeletor is like, you're in no position to issue threats, and then he presses a button and it opens up. Okay, this seems weird. It opens up like a trapdoor underneath He-Man, but then all of a sudden, He-Man is moving in slow motion. He has time to have a full conversation as he's falling.
Well, I mean,
the floor opens up under my feet. And then Tila's like, He-Man, catch! And Tila throws like a spear, and He-Man is still falling. It's like 5 minutes later, he's still falling. And
I don't know. And I like this. I thought this was pretty ingenious way to save him. Like she throws the spear, he catches it, and it's long enough to span the trapdoor so he can hang from the bar. Then.
Okay.
So I kind of dug this.
Yeah, she throws a spear, and then it kind of like catches like a whatever, and He-Man catches onto it, and we see that there's actually like a snake monster and some other monster in this pit that he was about to be, eaten by, and then he like swings himself out of the pit, and then lands right in front of Skeletor, and then I guess I don't know what he does. He kind of shoves him.
Yeah, he just shoves him. But look at those monsters. We see the one snake in there, and then look at that other guy. I don't know. He doesn't look that intimidating. That other monster.
Yeah.
You see that guy?
Kind of like a kiddie version of, more from Aliens.
Yeah, right. I'm not too scared of that guy. But so he just shoves Skeletor over. And then, by the way, the true hero in this entire book is that bird. whatever his name was.
True.
Like
Yes.
he does everything. God bless that guy. So that bird, he just flies in and he's like, oh, you know what? I'll just save the sorceress. I can do that at any point, I guess. So he just goes in and he touches the sorceress lady and like just teleports her out of the where she was imprisoned. And so that's nice. They both, and they're free. And He-Man just punches Skeletor, crack. And then Skeletor picks up the sword. He's like, hey, I can murder all you guys because I'm Thanos. But Michael, he doesn't seem to just murder He-Man, though, right? He doesn't, I don't know, he just stands there.
No, what does he do? He picks up the sword. Oh, yeah, he's like, let the very multiverse tremble. And then the bird comes back. The bird saves the day again, right?
I know, the bird's awesome. Yeah.
The bird swoops in and like kind of like knocks him over.
Well, He-Man tackles Skeletor, and like Skeletor kind of like the bird distracted Skeletor. So then He-Man tackles Skeletor, and he loses grip on the sword, and then the bird grabs the sword.
Right. And then I almost said Superman. And then He-Man throws Skeletor.
Well, he punches him a right hand. He cracks him with the right hand.
Punches him. I thought he threw him. Okay. And then it looks like Skeletor is knocked unconscious, right? He's just laying there.
Yeah, one shot chump. Bang.
Yeah. And then she's like, my champion, you have made your goddess most proud, right? So now he's done his duty for the day. Yeah, and then I love this.
It just abruptly ends. It's like,
I guess your friends are still in trouble in those other rooms, but I guess we'll go get them.
Yeah. Also, this is terrible when the goddess says, I was never in danger, He-Man, though I could not communicate that to you. Like, that's pretty shitty. You know, like what kind of story is that? Oh, by the way, there was never actually any danger. You had nothing to worry about. Oh, okay. This
bird was safe.
We have to read this final panel though, because it's just the sorceress there standing in the foreground, and knocked unconscious Skeletor's in the foreground as well. He-Man and Teela, Battle Cat's in the back, and the sorcerer says, "And the sword shall again be placed beyond the reach of those seeking to use its power for evil, waiting the day when the true king of Eternia comes forth to claim it. But first, I seem to recall some of your allies wait beyond, in rather compromising positions. Shall we see to their needs, my friends? The end." That's how it ends.
The end.
What?
Yeah. We ran out of pages. The end.
Yeah. What the fuck kind of ending is that?
Wasted too much time on Damon.
That is a terrible ending for this kind of a book. I mean,
it is.
That was terrible.
To this, like, that's disturbing.
Yeah, not so good. So there it is, Masters of the Universe, issue 3. Let's talk about the creators here. We mentioned Paul Kupperberg is the author. He was born in 1955 in Brooklyn, New York. He started out as a teenager doing the fanzines of The Comic Reader and etc. Michael, I'm sure you probably have the whole collection of The Comic Reader and etc., right?
I might have one issue, I'll have you know. But anyway.
Like, is that legit? Do you legit have one issue?
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. All right. I was being super sarcastic about that, but yeah, Michael actually has one. All right.
Of course.
He got his first gig with DC in 1977, writing issues of Aquaman, Michael, Adventure Comics, and Showcase. He has written over 1,000 comic books, mostly for DC, including Superman, Supergirl, Superboy, and Green Lantern. In 1979, he wrote a couple of Spider-Man and Hulk novels, actual like fiction novels based on those characters. He also wrote more comic and TV-based novels in the 90s and 2000s. He also wrote some non-fiction books. Then in 1979, he wrote the first mini-series in comic books, World of Krypton. Remember that,
yes.
Mike? I actually had an issue of that when I was a little kid. I remember buying that at the grocery store, World of Krypton.
Oh, cool. You had good taste back then. Good.
Yeah. I must have lost it over the years.
I know what happened, yeah.
From 1981 to 1985, he wrote the world's greatest superhero syndicated comic strip, and I guess that had Superman in it. Do you remember that, Michael?
Yeah, I remember. I'd never seen it, but I remember hearing about it, yeah.
In 1990-91, he wrote the Tom and Jerry comic strip. How about that?
Oh, cool.
Tom and Jerry. In 1987... Yeah, Tom and Jerry's great. In 1987, he relaunched Doom Patrol, writing the first 18 issues and an annual. You a fan of Doom Patrol, Michael?
I'm a fan of Doom Patrol after he left, yes.
Okay. Take that, Paul Kupperberg. Mike Gale's about to get blocked by someone else on Facebook now because you just said that.
Oh, I'm sure it will, yeah. Oh, Paul Kupperberg already blocked me, so it doesn't matter. No, actually, I think I deleted him. Whatever. We'll not talk about that.
Whoa.
Here.
From
That sounds like a good story.
1991 to 2006, he was an editor at DC, and he worked on books like Flash and Wonder Woman and a bunch of other stuff. And in 2006, he left DC and became the senior editor at the Weekly World News. You remember that until it ended publication in 2007. Like the Weekly World News, that was one of them crazy tabloids you'd see at the supermarket, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, that's weird.
But get this, though. In 2008, he became the senior editor of WWE Kids.
Wow.
That's pretty awesome.
Kids. Yeah.
Then in 2010, he wrote the Life with Archie series for Archie Comics, and I guess that was kind of acclaimed. It won some awards and shit. Did you ever hear of that, Michael?
I've heard of it. I know G.I. Jolie's a big fan, but I never read it.
So there you go. That's Paul. Anything else about Paul Kupperberg you would like to mention, Michael?
Only that his brother was Alan Kupperberg, and he was more of an artist, and that's about it. I used to have Alan Kupperberg on Facebook as well, but unfortunately he passed away.
Oh,
yeah. He didn't block me. He just passed away.
Okay.
Yeah.
He passed away before he got the chance to block you. That's so sad.
Yeah,
I know.
exactly.
Michael, I always forget which one did the X-Men at the Texas State Fair. One of the Kupperbergs did that.
I'm going to guess Alan. Yeah, I'm going to guess Alan.
Yeah, because I think Paul did. Maybe he did two things at Marvel, but mostly he did all DC. He was mostly a DC guy. So
I think so. Yeah.
All right. So Jank, what'd you feel about the writing here in Masters of the Universe?
I mean, it wasn't the worst thing in the world, but it was very exposition heavy.
Well, yeah.
And it's not like the exposition really, made this story satisfying in the end. It wasn't. It still was kind of goofy, and like the amulets really didn't end up mattering all that much, and really this whole story just kind of unnecessary. But
the amulets mattered because that's what got him into Grayskull. So that was a big deal.
Well, I mean, really, it was just there were two magics that got him into Grayskull, and like I said, Skeletor could have done that anyway. It seems like just gone and taken his magic and gotten in there anyway.
Oh, okay, yeah. So they did the amulets, but were they getting the amulets for Skeletor? Like that was their mission, or were they supposed to find the other sword?
Yeah, Skeletor had tasked them to get the amulets so that they could use them to get into Grayskull somehow. But really, his plan all along wasn't that anyway, so it was kind of all a mistake.
Yeah, I was going to say the amulets mattered to He-Man getting in, but theoretically, Skeletor didn't need the amulets if he knew that he and Damon could combine and get into Grayskull. Yeah. Fair point. I kind of like the gimmick about the, how to get into Grayskull. You need the swords, but the swords are already in Grayskull. I kind of like that. The old trickery there. I don't know. Damon's terrible, right? Like he feels like he doesn't belong in this book whatsoever. Like he's from a different.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Michael, any other things you'd like to mention? Oh, go ahead, Jank.
Like that could be a good character. Like this guy, he's just a normal dude, and Skeletor turns him into a bad guy against his will. Like that could be interesting, but it's like a 2-panel thing. It's just like, well, that's done. That was pointless.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't a fan of Damon. Go ahead, Michael.
For me, I mean, the plotting was not great, but what I liked about it was it's like pseudo, fantasy writing, and so I enjoyed the narration. I enjoyed the dialogue. I like the whole concept of He-Man being a mixture of fantasy and science fiction. I think that's a really cool, concept. And so it's more like I like the tone of the book more than the actual writing. You know what I mean? Like they use all the right elements, but it's just not a perfect mix.
Yeah, and the ending is terrible. But that ending you read.
Yes, definitely.
Like when we got there, I was stunned. I was like, "Wait, that's the ending? That's it?"
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well,
like even the final fight with Skeletor, I expected more than one right cross being all he needed to defeat Skeletor.
Thing is, I feel like
never even had his sword. He was just using like an axe and like some other wussy sword. Like he never had his half of the sword.
Yeah.
Even at the end, they're just like, "Oh, this is for the real king. He-Man, get out of here! You can't touch it."
Yeah, that's also what freaked me out. I'm like, isn't He-Man supposed to be the guy who has the sword? Isn't that his deal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I also feel like the first two issues were better because I got a feeling that Kupperberg was kind of making it up as he went along. And so in the first couple of issues, it was cool because it's much easier to set up a story than to resolve it, right? So I feel like he just didn't know how to resolve the story. So when he got to number 3, he pulled Damon out of his hat, so to speak. And then, like we said, he just ran out of pages and just wrapped it up quickly in the last page, right?
Wait, so you're telling me, again, you didn't read the others, I guess, but you're telling me you think Damon just showed up here in this issue like he wasn't in the first?
Oh, yeah, no, I did read number 1 and 2. I don't remember them, but I did read them. But I'm pretty sure Damon is not in the first 2.
Wow, that would be shocking if he's not in the first 2 issues.
Okay, how about this? I will go onto Google as we speak, and I will find out. How about that? Okay, it's only going to take me 2 seconds. And just so those out there, if you'd like to know, I always use dc.fandom.com to get all my information, okay?
A better site is marvel.fandom.com. You want to go there.
I get it. Here's the thing.
As a mystery writer, I'm sure you're a big fan of mysteries that introduce a character right at the end and be like, yep, it was them all along.
Yeah, that's really bad. Yeah, you're not supposed to do that.
Well, here's the other problem is sometimes when there's a series that no one gives a crap about, they don't put any detail into the entry. And so there's no detail or any characters in this thing here. But what I am going to do is I'm going to Google Masters of the Universe Damon. Oh, look at this. He first appears in number 2 in Flashback. So he first appears in number 2. He had enslaved Cyril's village, but Prince Adam transformed to He-Man and defeated him. So he was, so he did show up before. But they also make a note here.
I'm flipping through issue 2 right now. I haven't seen him yet. But that mermaid guy, or that fish guy, he's in this issue.
Merman.
So Merman. He's pretty cool.
Oh, man. Should have done that one.
Yeah.
I don't see Damon at all in this.
It also says that he looked completely different in number 2.
Oh.
It says in number 2, he looks like a horned demon with yellow skin, wearing a red skull cap, bracelets, and a loincloth. In number 3, he looks human. Like, why would they do that? That's ridiculous.
I was going to say, because I didn't see anyone that looked like... Oh, wait, here's a guy that looks like Damon. Wait a minute. Oh, he calls him Cyril. Wait, you are a certain Cyril? At least that's the guy that looks like Damon.
No, I see the guy they're talking about. He's on digital page... Oh, where is it? Where'd it go? I just had it. Digital page 5. He's at the top there. The yellow guy with the red skull cap. That's Damon. He just looks completely different. Like, why would they do that? You see him?
Oh, yeah.
Original page 4. That's just so weird. Yeah, he looks completely different.
But do you think he takes over Cyril's body? Because then, like, down below on that same page, you see Cyril there, or maybe the next page, Cyril. He looks like Damon a little bit. So maybe that demon takes over his human body or something?
Maybe. I don't remember. I just read this last week.
Yeah. All right. Anyway.
Yeah.
But, all right, so let's talk about the artist now. George Tuska. He's a true pro here at the comics. He was born 1916 in Hartford, Connecticut. Yeah, usually that's the earliest date I think that we've ever had on here in terms of creators. 1916. That's pretty early.
Could be.
Born in Hartford. He passed away in 2009 at the age of 93.
Wow.
About that. He attended the National Academy of Design in New York, and he started out designing women's costume jewelry. That was his gig. He started in the comic business working for comic book packager Eisner and Iger. Now, Michael, when you hear comic book packager, like back in the day, they would have. Can you explain this concept for people? Like, do you know about this?
No, I don't. Is this when they would take like Sunday funnies and just package them together? You mean?
Yeah, I think they would have a bunch of different people working like in a big old warehouse, and they would just mass produce comic books. Like they would just kind of like shove them all together. Like, here you go.
Well,
packaging.
Yeah, like I know that the very, very, very first comic books, were just, as far as I know, Sunday funnies, bound together. I think that's what they did.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. But anyway, he started out working for them, Eisner and Iger, and I think that Eisner is Will Eisner, right? Like the.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, just like I always thought Simon and Schuster was Joe Simon and Joe Schuster, but it's not. Apparently, it's a different
well, maybe I think there might be an Eisner connection there, if not. But anyway, he was working there. He made $10 a week, so that's good money.
Well, back then,
$10 a week. His first credited work was for Fox Comics Mystery Men Comics #1 and Wonderland Comics #4. Both came out in August 1939. So how about that? 1939. He was drafted in the Army in 1942. After the war, he returned to comics doing adventures, adventure stories, westerns, and crime stories. He also romances, I guess, as well. He drew for Timely and Atlas, who would, of course, become Marvel. Ooh. And then he became a Marvel mainstay during the 60s and 70s. He drew the majority of Iron Man issues from issue 5 to 106. A 10-year span from 1968 to 1978. Like, he didn't draw all those issues, but like I'd say he drew like 8 out of every 10. You know, he was doing a bunch. So a 10-year run on Iron Man.
That's pretty cool.
He also drew issues 40 to 46 of X-Men in 1968. And he helped launch Luke Cage Hero for Hire in 1972. Wow. He also drew Shauna the She-Devil issue 1 in 1972. And he did all 3 issues of Masters of the Universe 1 through 3 for DC. And in 1987, he did Masters of the Universe, the movie, the adaptation for Marvel. So look at that. Came back and did more Masters of the Universe.
Yes.
But yeah, George
from Courtney Cox.
yeah, good. God bless Courtney Cox. But so George Tuska, he was an old pro at this. And we mentioned earlier, he was known for being very quick. So he was the guy when they needed it, when someone missed the deadline and they needed to fill an issue or something, they'd get George Tuska. He'd come in and he'd do the job for him. And he's similar to Kirby in a lot of his approach to like the Marvel way of doing comics, but he just wasn't quite as dynamic or quite as good.
Right.
But I like the feel of his art. Like it has that old school classic comic book art kind of feel to it. So I liked his art here. It wasn't amazing or anything. And again, he was born in 15? So, or 13, whatever the fuck it was. I can't even remember. I put my notes away. So what year did this come out? In 83?
Yeah.
Holy hell. So
up there. Yeah, you can do the math, but yeah.
Oh, no, he was born in 1916. Okay. So what are you, 67 years old here?
Wow.
Man. It's pretty awesome.
If you glance back at number 1 and 2, they're inked by one of my favorite inkers from this era, Alfredo Alcala, and he is absolutely perfect for this genre of like fantasy. And I think the art in number 1 and 2 is even better. But I think
who did the inks here in this issue?
This issue is inked by a guy I've never heard of. His name is, just a minute here, it is Rodin Rodriguez.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. I didn't think it was that great. But when I was flipping through issue 2, though, issue 2 looks super smooth, and I really like issue 2. I was like, oh my, this looks nice. So yeah.
Agree.
So yeah, Jank, how'd you feel about George Tuska's work here?
I wasn't a huge fan. It's not the worst, but like I said, there's a lot of things that don't look great. A lot of the faces, even on some like the miscellaneous goons that they're fighting at the beginning, like kind of look kind of wonky. So I wouldn't say he's great, but I mean, I don't want to trash him too hard.
Yeah, he's dead. You don't want to speak ill of the dead. I actually, like I said, I like the feel of his art, but you do get the sense that some of it's rushed, or he didn't go the extra mile with a lot of it. But again, he's 67. What the fuck? I can barely get out of bed, and I'm in my 40s. When I'm in my 60s, dude, I'd kill to be drawing like this. So it's still good enough. I enjoyed it. Mike L., do you have any other memories of George Tuska? Because he did a shit ton of stuff, obviously. Like,
yeah, no, he's always one of those guys. Like, he was never right on my radar, but he was always at the peripheral. But I've always liked his stuff for sure. Yeah,
like his heyday would be in the 50s and stuff. Like if you're reading books in the 50s, that's probably where he was at his peak. You know, so it's just 30 years after that, and he's still getting it done. So good on you, George Tuska. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I admire that.
Any other thoughts here, Jank, about Masters of the Universe? Anything else? Would you like to yell at Mike L. for picking 2 Masters of the Universe books?
No, I'll leave that to you.
All right.
Always happy to read some.
But I want to address the fact that you're saying you like the Star Comics one better?
Yeah. I mean, that was just a fun. That had the Hurricane of Hate.
That is true. Yeah, I remember Hordak and the Hurricane of Hate, Mike L. He was spinning around and shit. That was pretty good, yeah.
I'm gonna I'm actually about to crack it open right now because I have the link here, but I don't know, it's mind-boggling.
I think this is more like a classic comic book.
Yes.
And the Star is more like just a fun, goofy comic book kind of thing situation.
Definitely different tone.
fair.
And
Yeah.
the thing is, well, I was, even growing up, I remember always feeling like the early mini comic books were better than the cartoon. And I feel like, the Star comics were more like the cartoon, and this is more like the early mini comics.
Do you remember the people who were doing those mini comics, Michael?
Actually, yeah, well, because I bought the hardcover. But I believe the art was by Alfredo Alcala, actually.
Oh, so the guy that you liked his inking, he was doing the art then. Oh, all right.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because I can't remember anything about. I remember the mini comics, but I can't remember anything about them. So,
Well,
I still have a bunch of them somewhere. At my
really?
parents' house.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Listen, those are worth, I'm not kidding, a lot of money, because people did not keep them the way they'd kept comic books. They would just throw them out, you know? So
yeah, I
those
think
can
I threw all mine out. Yeah, I don't think I kept them,
Uh,
which is weird because I loved comic books at the time. So you think I would have kept them, but I have no recollection of ever maintaining them in any way. And like years later, when I gave away the toys to a bunch of kids, I didn't have any of those little books, so I must have just threw them away at some point.
Oh, I also, let me just quickly point out that the first few were written by Donald F. Glutt and with art by Alfredo Alcala. And they weren't really like comic books. They were like an illustration with like text at the bottom kind of thing. So more like a book, you know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they were,
All right.
Yeah, great.
So, Jank, what do you give this issue of Masters of the Universe 1 out of 10?
I think I'd probably give it like a 4. Just a little bit below average for me.
Yeah, I'll probably go 5. You know, middle of the road. It's fine. It's nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be, you know? But
All right. That's good.
It's middle of the road for me. Mike L?
I gave the first two a 6. I gave this one a 5 because, again, I love the tone, but the story was really stupid. But I do like the tone of the book. So.
Like, wouldn't this book have been so much better if you just take Damon out of it? Like, did Damon have to be there at all? Like, just get him out of there, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, like this whole series needed like a quick rewrite, and then it'd be fixed, I think.
Well, Mike L, I guess we should keep in mind, this is a lot like that A-Team issue we did when Jank's nemesis, Miles Watson, was on the show with us. Do you remember? Because, like, I can't remember who wrote the A-Team issue, but remember they wrote it like before they'd only seen like one episode of the show or something, so they didn't really know the characters. They just had to come up with these ideas. So you kind of get the same feel with this. Like, they didn't really know what Masters of the Universe was yet, but they just said, oh, maybe there's a Damon guy who comes in and does shit. I don't know. Let's do that. But
They didn't realize he had a power sword. Like, I don't remember Skeletor being like from a different multiverse or something, like where they were suggesting this one. I thought it was from Eternia.
Yeah, I have no idea. But so yeah, I think they were still feeling their way. So we can't be too harsh on him. Maybe he didn't know what all he was dealing with here. Maybe he thought, hey, this Damon, he's going to be a breakout superstar on that cartoon. And then they're like, hey, you know what? We're not even going to use Damon. All right, fuck. And then he like already put him in the book or whatever. So anyway,
nose is that pointy. It just doesn't.
Yeah, it'd be dangerous for children. Yeah, they could poke each other in the eye and shit. All right, so if you like Masters of the Universe, give it a whirl, or just forget that this ever happened and just delete this episode now because
Read them all.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the good news is, Mike, you're not picking any more Masters of the Universe, right?
who knows? Did another company do Masters of the Universe?
Many times.
We shall see.
So, all right. So for next week, Jank will not be here, sadly, but our buddy Bob Myers will be here. I booked Bob Myers.
Oh, cool.
Good old pork carrot. He's coming back because he wants to catch up to Jank in all his appearances. And I forgot to write down what issue we're doing, but I think I know what it is. We're going.
Sorry.
This is Bob. He had this idea. We're going to do The Thing, issue 28.
Oh, cool.
This is Ron Wilson is the artist, and I can't remember who the writer is. But this is the issue where Thing becomes a professional wrestler.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we're very excited about this because Bob also likes wrestling. So, yeah.
So is he wrestling other flesh and blood dudes? Because that seems dangerous.
Yeah, we'll get into it next week. But I think the premise is like this wrestling federation, they were basically giving the wrestlers like medical experiments to turn them into superheroes kind of backstage. So kind of like Vince McMahon giving them steroids backstage, you know what I'm saying? And then, so they had to the Thing was fighting these kind of like superpower people as well in the wrestling match. So yeah, this is the first issue though where he becomes a professional wrestler.
Oh, I'm looking at the cover right now. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a fight poster on the wall, right?
Right.
Okay, yeah, that's the right issue. But Michael, have you read any of this Thing series at all from the 80s?
Oh yeah, a few issues. Yep.
Because when Bob and I were flipping through these various issues trying to pick one, both of us came to the same conclusion that this series seems batshit crazy. Like they were just doing some weird shit.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I mean, the only thing I really remember is that I did like the art by Ron Wilson, but I only read a few issues, so I don't remember exactly the tone or anything.
Well, another spoiler alert here. When this issue we're going to be doing next week, when it opens, the Thing is part of a motorcycle stunt gang.
Awesome.
That should give you some idea what we're dealing with here. So,
wow.
Sorry.
Better to the Grand Canyon than a guy who weighs like 1,200 pounds.
I guess you don't have to worry about him breaking his legs or anything when he crashes, you know? That's one plus. But, sorry, next week, Thing, issue 28 with our buddy Bob Myers. All right, Jank, thank you very much. Appreciate it as always.
Sure, no problem. Anytime.
Next time you're on, we'll let you pick the issue because I know Michael never likes to let our guests pick issues, but we'll let them pick the issue. And
I just wrote in here, next time, Jank pick. I put it in my notes.
All right. I also, since Jank's here, I'm guessing I should say this because I know he'll call me out on it probably if he remembers. But Michael, our buddy Tuffy, says that he will come back on Flea Market Fantasy if you pick a Superman issue, but I told him no. We're not doing any more Superman on Flea Market Fantasy.
Really? Really?
Yep.
So,
Let's hear his tribute.
So if I pick one, then he's going to come on then.
Theoretically, that's what he said. Yeah, he said he would, and I told him no because I'm not going to mention it. But then he told Jank to mention it to you, so I figured I might as well do it before you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've got some. You know, my plans are all very detailed, but I might have to modify them now. This is very interesting.
Yeah, Tuffy said he will come back for a Superman issue. For some reason, I don't know. I never knew Tuffy liked Superman, but apparently he does. So we'll keep that in mind.
At least watch the cartoon in the 90s, he said.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Because we watched a shitty movie where the guy looked like Mr. Mitzelplex, right? And is that what it was?
Yeah, Sleepaway Camp 3. What was his name? I forget. Pollard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the other Dobie Gillis, Maynard G. Krebs' cousin on Dobie Gillis. But yeah, so we made that reference, and Tuffy knew who Mr. Mixelplex was, and I was impressed. And he goes, hey, I'll come back on for a Superman book. But hey, Michael, maybe make it a book with, like, Bizarro. I like that guy. That guy's cool.
Oh, yeah? Wait, whose pick is it here? Is it my pick or your pick? What's going on here?
But I like Bizarro. He's cool.
Where Superman and Big Barda made a porno.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I remember that one, yes.
Is that the 80s?
That was John Byrne. I won't pick a John Byrne one.
If it's in the 1980s, Michael, you have to pick the one where he makes a porno. Come on, that'd be awesome.
No. You already said Bizarro, so now I'm going to find a Bizarro one. We'll see.
Did he ever make a porno with Bizarro? We can maybe
No. Okay. All right, we'll wrap this up now, and we will see everybody next week. We want to thank Kevin Jank for making his legendary 14th appearance on our show. All right. And we'll definitely have you back again, and like we said, you can pick. And you can hear every episode of Flea Market Fantasy at www.comicbooksyndicate.com. Each week we pick a different Bronze Age comic book. 1 week I pick, 1 week Mike Dell picks. And until next Tuesday, disperse!